Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast, Lessons in Building Cyber Resilience. I'm Greg Rabine, and I help cyber solution providers scale using AI powered systems. And it's a pleasure to introduce today's guest, Dave Pasirstein, CEO of Secret Shield. So, topics for today will start with Dave sharing his background and his journey, and then we'll uh, explore trends Dave is seeing in the industry around phishing and smishing and ransomware and other techniques used by nation state actors. We'll talk about opportunities and challenges, and clearly AI falls in that category. And then we'll wrap things up with Dave's thoughts on where things are headed. So, hello, Dave.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks for joining us from Denver, Colorado.
Yep,
Excellent. So, so Dave, maybe you can start by sharing a bit about your background, your journey, and how those experiences influenced the vision and culture at Secret Shield.
absolutely. So, I guess I have to abbreviate my background quite a bit here. So, I I've been I guess I've worked across several industries from fintech, pharma, as well as high tech. And across all of these, I was always in some form of technology. Uh, my career has gone in and out, specifically of the cybersecurity space, on several occasions, sometimes with cyber identity, sometimes in just cyber in general. Um, at, I suppose over the last several years, my focus has really narrowed in on um, both cyber identity as well as most recently um, secrets protection that's specifically around for B2B around cyber resilience. How to actually make sure companies can recover from things that go not the way you would hope, and be able to survive such incidents. I happened to experience a very, very large, massive incident at a prior employer that dealt with ransomware. And some of the learnings I have from that, I was able to turn around and apply to this business.
Wow, excellent. That's really great. So, I mean, even the most mature organizations can't prevent every incident. So, from your perspective, why is the shift from pure cybersecurity to cyber resilience so important right now?
Yeah, I think any mature organization, or even probably immature organizations, realize um, that whether it's phishing, smishing, or any other sort of cyber ransomware, you name it, attacks, they're happening. They're going to happen. And the idea that you could just install some security software and it's going to prevent everything 100% of the time is, I think, recognize that that's no longer realistic. So the real question is to any business, it doesn't, it could be a small business, medium size, or large, but the real question is when something goes wrong, how quickly can they recover and have their business back on track, hopefully even to the point to feel as though virtually nothing happened? What can be done to allow that level of resilience for a business?
Nice. I agree. So, Secret Shield takes a different approach with decentralized recovery and secret sharing. What are
Yeah.
some of the real pain points with traditional vaults and custodial solutions that you set out to solve?
Yeah. Well, Greg, before we go into the solution, let's talk about a little bit more about the problem itself, right? What are the problems that like small businesses might face or medium-sized businesses and such? And what this is businesses have critical data. They have key accounts. Sometimes these accounts are like the keys to the kingdom accounts. They're the super admin accounts. And you run into these problems where who has them? Usually, take a small business that has maybe 15, 20 people, something like that. You might have one or two IT guys that have this. But how do you prevent those guys from ever getting on the same airplane or being in the same car or some situation where that can be lost and suddenly access to all your systems and data? Equally so, just as we were saying before, there could be things like ransomware attacks where suddenly all your system data is encrypted and so forth, and you need access to the critical accounts and the critical keys. The thing is for businesses, it's not just about software accounts. It's not just about admin accounts. There's also sensitive information in general. Sometimes there's some type of trade secret, maybe in a laboratory or things like this. And so, in all of these scenarios, you have these cases where there's highly sensitive information, and you need to know you can get it back. You need to know that ransomware isn't going to take it out. You need to know that even a freak accident isn't going to just put your whole business under and no longer in operation. And so this is where Secret Shield comes in. This is where we address failure modes and failure domains that nothing else in the market addresses. And we're able to do that through this decentralization you brought up. And so, in other words, rather than storing some data, on some server or some server in the cloud, where that server, that data could actually be corrupted, lost, or even with ransomware encrypted, um, what we're doing is we take this data and we apply a tried and proven technology. It's actually something that was created back in like 1978 originally. And what it does, it lets us issue shares to multiple parties and have a threshold for reconstruction. So, in other words, we can say you can issue shares to, let's say, five people or five geographies. And as long as two or three of those geographies are available, you can actually get the data back. And here's the beauty of this: those shares do not contain any of the secret whatsoever. So it's not like the shares themselves have the data. However, if you have the threshold worth of shares, so if you have three of the five in that scenario, we can mathematically, and we do mathematically, reconstruct what that original data is. So anyone holding that doesn't actually have any access to the sensitive information. Now, of course, as a product in the market, we do all sorts of things to even protect and encrypt on top of that. And so we try to make this as seamless as possible. So you basically put the data in, you say, I want to issue it to these locations, I want a threshold of this, and it all just gets handled for you with the highest level of security and encryption through and through. We're trying to make it that you can be both secure without the complication.
So, wow, it's very robust. So, tell us and talk to us about your ideal customer profile. Who out there has the requirements, the pain that your solution can assist them with?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple scenarios here, and I do want to be forthright and upfront with everyone. Today we have a full product in the market that consumers can absolutely use. And this could be for your master password to your password vault. This could be for maybe sensitive information, like maybe you have a will or and a trust or something like that, but you don't put your actual bank account details there, but you may want to have this in a place where it's secure and it could be recovered, but you can also assign a what we call a trustee, somebody else that could recover this in the event that something goes wrong. Now, for small businesses, we have a product that we're actively beta testing, and we're actually planning to expand it to both medium and larger businesses. And so, back to your customer profile perspective, right now, for businesses in particular, it's businesses that have information that they know if things went sideways, if something went wrong, they need this information to recover. And so it's a very broad customer profile in that sense. Um, what I will say is many companies experienced during the CrowdStrike disaster that happened about a year ago, where they had information in services like a privilege access management system, even some that were hosted by MSPs that were running this for small businesses. And if the MSP was running the CrowdStrike software, suddenly you couldn't get to any of your critical information. Some of the larger companies not only had this issue for themselves, but they might have paid for big expensive options like storing at a custodial service like Iron Mountain on the other side of the country. And we know at least of one such company where they were doing exactly that. But of course, as in all the news, the airports were down with the CrowdStrike disaster. So not only could they not get their business back online, and this was a company that was losing close to $1 million a day in operations, they couldn't get it online from their own privilege access system, and they couldn't actually fly over to the other side of the country for the people that were authorized to get that. So back to your question on the ICP, the customer profile. It's a bit broad, but it applies absolutely to small business, medium size, or even large business that understand that information is critical for them to not only be in business, but to recover from such an event.
No, so I guess so. It's a very unique, product or solution, I should say, very powerful. And I guess it would be good to know how to. I mean, from smaller companies, probably CEOs or founders, and then as you get
Yeah.
larger, who within the organization, CIO, CTO, CISO, but who is scoping this into into their infrastructure?
Yeah, so in smaller businesses, I'm not talking about tiny, but I am saying smaller. So to say they have more than just two founders and maybe one or two other people. So if you have a few more people, this is sometimes the CEO that and founder that's actually, I don't want to say nervous, but I want to say um, uh, aware that there's risks that if his, you know, top IT person or in a laboratory setting, one of their key scientists for some type of trade secret being developed, if they have any of these scenarios, they want to make sure that that information can be protected, but not only that, it can be recovered by the right people. And so take the example of, a company with 25, 50 people and maybe two IT people. And in this scenario, the IT people have these admin accounts, and you call them the break glass accounts, break glass in case of emergency. And the thing is that the CEO or maybe the co-founding partner, maybe even the chief revenue officer, those other roles, they don't they don't need that information today. The founders don't need that today. And actually, for security purposes, you don't want lots of people to have access to these keys to the kingdom, so to speak. But if something goes wrong, they need to then be able to access, they need to then be able to recover. And that's where a product like Secret Shield comes in, because it's not only doing that decentralizing of the data and overcoming those failure modes that other products don't cover, but it also allows you to assign what we call trustees. This is other people that can request recovery. When I say request recovery, this means that when I described earlier, those shares are issued, the shareholders approve or can decline to approve accordingly whether or not the recovery should take place. And so, as long as enough approve, then at that point, those keys are reconstructed, those accounts are reconstructed. And so, what this allows is it allows the founders, or it allows the CEO, or even like the CFO, or whoever it may be, to recover this data in the event of something not going as expected, without them having access today. So without needing to share your admin accounts with everyone in the company, uh, you know, if, from a security perspective, you just don't want to do that, right? You want to make it's as needed. So this lets you gain access when needed.
Yeah, okay. It would what would really be, I don't know if you can do this, but maybe can you tell us about an incident that you prevented or helped and made the difference in protecting their sensitive data?
Yeah, so I have actually one in particular, and this was from an individual that happened to have a company, and even his own data. He actually used this both personally and for business. It happened to be he happens to be in the blockchain space, and so in that case, he had a blockchain. It's called a wallet, and a wallet has a seed phrase for recovery. Um, just for comparison, and so for people to be aware, if you're an Apple user and you turn on advanced data protection, this is an option that Apple gives you. Apple will issue you a seed phrase. So even though I am saying this is blockchain and my story is going to be about blockchain, I want it to be very clear that this can absolutely apply to all sorts of other things. In this scenario, this individual, he had all his critical data on his computer. Yeah, small business, that's what people do. They don't have servers and things yet. And unfortunately, his computer died. And he was one of the early adopters of our product, as somebody that I had met actually at an event. Happened to just be networking. I told him about it. He started using it. He reached out to me, uh, like almost in tears, thanking me that he had downloaded the product, tried it out, just playing with it, was just using like playing with it, and then this event happened, and it turned out that my product was the only way he was able to get his seed phrase back and actually recover his business. It's almost unbelievable, but absolutely true.
Wow, that's a really incredible story. Wow, that's great. Good news. So he found you at a trade show. So tell me how um, your customers found you, or more importantly, how people today out there, prospects in the marketplace that require this robust solution. I mean, how do they find you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first, our website, of course, is secretshield.net. So should be pretty straightforward, pretty easy to get to. We had been doing some marketing. I will tell you, it was rather light as a startup and coming to market. What's been really important early on are our first few set of customers that are giving us valuable feedback and allowing us to really improve the market for broader masses. And that's really where we are today. So we have a handful of customers. We are getting quite a bit of feedback. I mentioned earlier, we also have a consumer product that's available both on the Apple App Store as well as Android Google Play Store. So Secret Shield is the product there, and for that we have a freemium model, which has also allowed for significant feedback in order to make sure both the robustness of the product as well as ensuring that it's properly battle tested. Anytime you have a security product, you want to make sure that that's there.
Nice. So, as we wrap up here, and appreciate your perspective, and certainly appreciate the detail around your product, your solution, I should say, and it's really, I guess when you talk about resilience, it just seems that traditional compliance and defense is just not good enough anymore. And
Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry, don't mean to cut you off. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, no, and I guess the leaders today, the cyber leaders, need to become business aligned innovators and resilience leaders. I mean,
I, I think that's absolutely the case. When you just look at the numbers around phishing attacks, around ransomware, around these different things, and you see also the level of sophistication is just increasing. Um, one of the more popular things happening right now that you see is the movement to things like passkeys and passwordless technologies. And these are great because they eliminate some of the more basic sort of cyber attacks. On the other hand, we're starting to see more and more sophisticated attacks. And so the the problem or I should say the challenge as it relates to business resiliency is not going away, right? Business continuity, disaster recovery, and your overall resilience for the operations of your company are critical. And yeah, to Greg, to your point, um, it's everybody's problem. It's not something that a CIO or a CEO or even a founder of a small company can just say, we'll worry about it later. Because there might be no later, might not exist. And so making sure that things are done is absolutely critical. I also very much expect, and we're already starting to see this with cybersecurity insurance, that in order to hold insurance policies and maintain such insurance policies, we're seeing more and more requirements around business continuity and resiliency. We're seeing more and more requirements for ensuring that you're doing the correct level of diligence. And I say you as business leaders, that you're doing the correct level of diligence in order to protect the company. And that's where I definitely see products like mine coming in. And I know there's a variety of other products out there that are complementary that I think all come together to ensure your business can survive such incidents with relatively little harm or hopefully no harm.
that's great. I mean, and you touched on it earlier. The the market you're in is such a spans is so wide, but I like your your B2C play and model because you get lots of users, using the product and working with it and ease of use and all those good things. And I'm guessing that there are a lot in business today, a lot of people are independent and of the and they need I guess certainly financial advisors, traders, in the Bitcoin and digital world, and the boundaries are eliminated. So, but I can see the relevance and the critical nature of your product, on the enterprise level, and wow. So I really, I'm pretty impressed, and really excited for you. And
Thank you.
yeah, and I think that was interesting how you mentioned the ecosystem around your product, the other vendors in the space that are complementary, and that sounds very, very interesting.
Absolutely. Greg, thank you so much. I really appreciate you inviting me and having me on your podcast. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Take care. How do you there? Hey,
Y-
I
Yeah,
stopped.
you're still recording.
Oh, okay, stop.